just going to ask a quick closing question from all of our other panelists before we move into a question and answer. Again, this will be 2 minutes, so I'll do the snap at 30 seconds. We have 30 seconds left. For all of you, you seem to have a lot of social justice cares at heart. So what do you think is the hardest part in fighting for social justice in the courts?
Okay, in the courts. I think it's you know what I would say, and this is, okay. I'm going to shift your question a tiny bit and focus on things in the court still. The jury system, for example. And there's been so much propaganda against the jury system, which I think is the one last remaining consensus-based system, the sliver of democracy in the court system is the jury system. But what's wrong with it is a lot of times how the way they're picked, the process of how they're picked. Again, it goes to show how things can be corrupted in a way to select people who know are going to most likely vote against this plaintiff who was injured or put damages on this person's, cap on their damages. So I would say the problem is we're allowing this performers kind of go get in there in the court system and make it more stagnant and aim for cutting more fees with the court system. And they're struggling now. That means more ways to cut out the jury system. So that's.
I mean, for me, I'm gonna cry. I hate this. It's seeing all the casualties of what the court system can do. So, we see people who have a warrant for a search in their home, and you have the SWAT team coming in and killing their dog and terrifying their kids and, coming in there to grab somebody, right? And then they go into this court and this judge is like, it's just all so overwhelming, and it's all such a crazy experience, and, you're put in these cuffs and you're put in jail and you're just treated in such a different way. It's just the way that it changes somebody who is all free and walking down the street and their own person, and then all of a sudden they become this target of this brutality and this government oppression, and the way that prosecutors just dole out these fucking years, 5 years, 10 years, it just doesn't even compute anymore that those are days in someone's life, and they treat it so casually. And so it's just terrifying to me, the whole process, that somebody's life can change so drastically, that there are prosecutors who are concerned. It's like a competition for them, so they're just concerned with their closing rate, how well they do. Their success is completely geared towards how many people they put in jail and for how long. So we're just losing this human element of we're people, right? Going to jail in the first place is fucked up. The fact that that's the solution as opposed to rehabilitation and treatment and getting people to just be people again in the world and in the community. So I have a lot of problems with it, but I think, people's lives can change by going through that system. And when I was in law school and I was doing public defender work, what I realized is that, sometimes people are just guilty, but when you can talk to them and you can validate their experience and you can give them a fair trial and you can walk them through it and you can show them compassion and that somebody's fighting for them, that they can leave that experience even if they have to go to jail and face those consequences, but it can still be something that's positive, and it's something that they don't have to be a victim of. It's something that they can be a survivor of. And so that's the hope that I have.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a three-part question. How are the courts? What are the challenges of fighting for social justice in the courts? Because you got folks that are being prosecuted criminally. You've got civil plaintiffs that are seeking justice, because really the only justice that the court can provide is money in a civil case. And you've got and if you're trying to use the courts to advance social change, to advance some kind of social agenda. And yeah, the first part, I'm going to second Rachel, and prosecutors are fucking evil. I mean, they're not, I've never met, I mean, they're like a different kind of people. I mean, they're not, they're just focused on winning, justice doesn't matter to them. And, you know, there's the presumption of innocence that, you know, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, until the state meets its burden of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty. But, you know, the jury is going to assume that you're guilty because you're sitting in that defendant's chair. And it really, I mean, the burden has really, it's really shifted. So, you know, you got that challenge. And then in civil matters, like Asmik was saying, you've got, I mean, not so much in California, although there are special protections for the doctors. You know, they've got medical malpractice. I mean, tort reform is whenever you hear the word tort reform, fucking run. That's a bad look. Watch the documentary Hot Coffee if you can. It was an HBO documentary. But I mean, tort reform is just a way to take people's rights away, for people to vote, to take their own rights away. Read The Appeal by John Grisham. It's supposed to be fiction, but it is based on a true events that actually happened. I mean, there are some states in the South where you just can't get a plaintiff's award. It'll be overturned on appeal, and they're just folks that are on, you know, these judges sit on these courts, and they just won't allow, you can't get any compensation. And then as far as using the courts to advance social change, the court is, by design, courts are the most conservative branch of government, and they're the most, you know, the courts aren't supposed to be, you've heard the term activist judges, and, you know, it happens to be that the most activist judges are on the conservative side. We've got an activist Supreme Court, although upholding the Affordable Care Act was a pleasant surprise from the court that we have now. But courts aren't supposed to make social policy. They're just supposed to call balls and strikes. They're supposed to just let the political elected branches of government create policy, and then the courts just enforce the law. So you're not going to really create vast new you know, social policy through the courts. You know, there have been some exceptions, like Brown versus the Board of Education. But you know, one of the theories there is that, you know, was the court actually leading the way, or was it kind of trailing? I mean, it's up for debate. But there's you know, that's going to be rare that you're going to see social policy made through the courts. It's usually as I was talking about earlier, you can sometimes use litigation to sort of provide leverage for getting legislation passed, but you're not going to get the courts to change laws or policy that way. So.
Awesome. Let's give a big round of applause to all of our panelists.